Avery, the woman engaged.
Have you picked a dress?
I have.
To making a murderer, Stephen Avery.
He would sign his letters, love, your husband. I believe he's innocent. He needs help.
There are a lot of people that want to help him that don't want to marry him.
Love behind bars.
How many times have you visited him?
3 times.
Your family members, they think, what the hell's happened to you? Are you insane?
Yes.
Are you?
Should she be afraid?
He's been involved in burglaries, burned a cat alive. What might he do if he gets frustrated with you?
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
I'm feeling agitated because I haven't heard from Stephen. I can't do this anymore.
With a surprise phone call from prison.
He's on the line right now.
Oh, my God.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Today, we are talking about a love story with a twist. A beautiful bride, totally smitten and engaged to be married. Lynn Hartman says she's finally found her Prince Charming. There's just one tiny problem. The man of her dreams is behind bars. And her fiancé isn't just any old inmate. Lynn's prison paramour is none other than convicted killer Stephen Avery. That's right, Stephen Avery, who became a worldwide celebrity when the hit Netflix documentary, Making a Murderer, featured his case. Take a look.
Now to another case that is fascinating the country right now. It's a murder in Wisconsin featured in the wildly popular Netflix documentary called Making a Murderer.
The documentary makes the case that a man serving life in prison is actually innocent.
This series has been addicting with binge watching, with social media, as it feels like lots of people are all together trying to solve the mystery at the same time.
Filmmakers Laura Ricciardi and Moira Demos spent 10 years working on Making a Murderer.
We were very thorough and, in our opinion, very accurate and very fair.
Hundreds of thousands of people are calling for the pardon of a convicted killer after the Netflix series Making a Murderer exposed possible flaws in the case that put him behind bars.
Stephen has become the world's strangest sex symbol now. He's receiving, according to some reports, up to 40 letters a week in prison from women lining up to be his next wife. Stephen Avery became engaged to this beautiful, statuesque blonde. They initially began speaking through love letters to one another, and then they started talking on the phone. Lynn and Stephen finally met one another face-to-face for the first time just a few weeks ago in prison. Stephen told DailyMail.com, "She is going to be my future wife. We are going to be laughing forever."
Dive in now. Everybody's talking about it.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Well, Stephen Avery may be convicted of murder, but Lynn says she knows Stephen is innocent and believes they have a magical connection. Stephen says, quote, "She's going to be my future wife. We will be laughing forever." Now, today, in an exclusive interview, Lynn is speaking out for the very first time. Now, although they've only met 3 times in person, Lynn says she will marry Stephen Avery. Let's hear what she has to say.
I first heard about Stephen Avery's case when my daughter Camelia told me about the documentary Making a Murderer. She said, "Mom, that it's right up your alley because I am a paralegal." And I watched the documentary. I concluded that he was set up. I felt that the state of Wisconsin saw Stephen Avery as a disposable person. And at that time, I was in the middle of a divorce, and I identified with that because I kind of felt disposable myself. I wrote a letter that night, and a couple of weeks later, I was very surprised that he wrote me back. Within the first month, he was telling me he knew that he wanted me to be his wife. I was excited. He had singled me out. It made me feel special. He told me I was beautiful. We've been writing letters back and forth for approximately 8 months, and the first time I was able to go see him was September 15th of this year. When I first saw him, he looks like the sweetest little teddy bear I've ever seen in my life. It was just like magic. And he grabbed my hands, and we sat at the table, and we cried. Just a second. I was very attracted to him because I could tell how much he loved me. He was the whole package. This card he made for me, and on the inside he drew me this nice picture, and it says, "I just wanted to let you know that you're in my thoughts and in my heart." And I was touched by the innocent nature of it. Stephen proposed to me on the morning of September 6th. Stephen and I usually talk about 2 or 3 times a day. He'll wake me up and he'll say, "Good morning, Mrs. Avery." My nickname for him is Teddy Bear, my innocent teddy bear. Once Stephen is exonerated, we do plan to take a trip up into the mountains and find a hotel and just relax. Stephen will be walking out of prison and I'll be standing there waiting for him.
Well, okay. So, was the documentary the first time you'd ever heard about Stephen and his story?
Yes.
Did you feel an instant connection to him, or was this something that built up across time?
I kind of felt an instant connection after watching the entire documentary.
Did you binge watch it?
Yes.
Like all at one time?
Several times.
Yeah, I binge watched it. Like, I think Robin and I watched it over the weekend. So we watched it all across a couple of days.
Yeah.
So did you feel like you got to know him during that 10 hours that you watched it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when it was over, or any time during it, did you decide then that he was innocent?
Absolutely. By the time I was through watching it the first time, I absolutely felt like he was innocent.
Yeah. And obviously, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people did, because petitions have been circulated all around trying to get him out of prison. Why did you think he was innocent?
Because there were so many inconsistencies with regards to how the police conducted their investigations, the evidence that was not there.
And for people who don't know, I asked the audience just a few minutes ago how many had watched this, and about half of the audience said they had watched the documentary. And for people who don't know, Stephen Avery had spent many years in prison convicted of a rape, only to find out that he had not done it at all, that he had been wrongly convicted.
Right.
He got out, he was exonerated from that, got out of prison, filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for the wrongful imprisonment, and while that lawsuit was pending, he got arrested and charged with, and then convicted of this murder.
Right.
And a lot of folks felt like that was a good way to dispose of this lawsuit against the county. A lot of people feel that was awfully convenient. You started writing him?
I did, immediately after watching the documentary.
Oh, right away?
I felt compelled to reach out to him right away. I felt so bad for him, thinking this poor man had just been exonerated through DNA for this other wrongful conviction and incarceration, and only had 2 years as a free man before he was right back in there.
Yeah. What did you write in the letter that you wrote to him to start with?
I told him that I was in the process of a divorce, and that I was feeling lonely at home, and had time to write at that time in my life, which at any other time I would never have had this opportunity to even consider it.
Right.
And so I sent a couple of pictures of myself with a letter and asked him if he wanted to write back and forth to get to know each other.
Well, I'm guessing he said yes.
He did.
I mean, if you're sitting in prison and get a picture of you, nah. So he's going to say yes to that, right?
Yeah, he did.
And that's okay, right? I mean, he didn't know you yet, but he got a picture and thought, well, yeah, but then he got to know you.
Yes.
Right, even though the first attraction was physical, then he got to know you, right?
Yes.
And when did you get a response? How quickly did you get a response? And what was your reaction? Did you expect to get a response?
I didn't really expect to get a response.
Really?
My first thought, my goal was just to offer him some support and let him know I'm out here and I think he's innocent and I'm offering him my support. If he'd like to write me back, I'm here and this is my address. And about 2 weeks later, I did receive a letter back.
What was your reaction when you got the letter?
I was speechless. I opened the mailbox and I said, I couldn't even talk. I got a letter. I got a letter from Steven Avery. And my mother lives about 2 blocks down the street from my house. So I had my son get in the car with me and we drove down and I read the letter out loud to both of them.
Yeah.
As well as I could, stuttering, because I was so excited about getting the letter.
So you light up when you talk about him. So, I mean, this relationship obviously built, right?
It did.
And how long did it take this relationship to turn romantic? Because you had a reaction when you got the letter, but was this immediately a love at first sight? Did it take time? What was it?
Well, we corresponded for a couple of months so that we could learn each other's personalities, what our likes, what our dislikes were, what he likes to do, what I like to do.
So was it platonic at first?
Yes.
Just, I'm a pen pal? I'm your prison pen pal?
Yes. And he was sort of a support person for me while I was going through this hard time of my divorce.
Was this a tough divorce?
It was, in that I still loved...
Any of them are not.
It wasn't a volatile situation. I still loved my husband and my ex-husband now. So that made it difficult for me.
All right, well, let's take a break. Coming up, Lynn says before she ever met Steven in person, she became engaged to be his wife. So I want to know how that happened. Plus, Lynn says the first time she ever met her convict Casanova, they had tons of chemistry. They sealed with a jailhouse kiss. This is all very interesting. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The first time that I saw him, he did come and plant a great big kiss on me. He'd been waiting 8 months. He made sure he got that kiss. It was good. I felt like it was an extended kiss. People were watching us because it was Steven Avery and everybody knows who he is.
And later,
he would sign his letters, "Love, your husband, Steven Avery." He saved my life.
It's kind of a Cinderella situation.
I fell in love right off the bat.
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I could not find my daughter for 9 years.
Dad's fighting to see his own child.
Now he's trying to take her away.
Because Grandma won't let her go.
He's missed out on first words, first steps. All we want is a chance to know this little girl.
You characterize this as this rotten, no-good rat wants to come in and rip this whole world apart.
I just want to see my daughter, and you're in the way.
I'm not in the way. Your daughter doesn't want to see you.
That's Wednesday.
When I look at Steven, I see a very innocent, boyish young man. The first time that Steven actually told me that he loved me was the first time that we talked on the phone. I felt like we'd known each other forever. I immediately knew I was going to be a part of his life. I just felt it in my heart.
Well, when 53-year-old legal secretary Lynn Hartman first watched the Netflix documentary, Making a Murderer, she was so moved by Steven Avery's story that she wrote him a letter. Lots of people were moved by this documentary. She had no idea that within a month, she would be in a full-blown romantic relationship with the convicted killer. Now, Lynn says the second she saw Steven, she knew he was her, quote, innocent teddy bear. Now, you went to see him. How long was it before you were able to arrange and make arrangements and get in to actually meet him?
Well, we corresponded for about 4 to 5 months before we started making arrangements for that meeting. And it was actually a very simple process in that the prison sent me some documents to complete so they could run a background check on me. And once that was approved, then I was on the visitors list. Okay, so you started corresponding, you're writing back and forth. Did he ask you to then call? Oh, yes. So it went from writing to then calling? After the second letter, he wrote me back and he explained to me how I could receive phone calls from him. Oh, okay. And so he had to call you? Yes, he does have to call me. All right. And so you made those arrangements? Yes. And how long before that first call? After you wrote the first letter? About a month? Okay. Take me through that moment. Did you know when he was going to call? Did I know? Did he say? The day? Yeah, I mean, do you guys arrange a time? I don't know how that prison works. No. You just know, do you know there's going to be a day? No. Okay. On his floor, they have 4 cell phones that are circulated throughout the cells. He's locked up. Are these legal or secret? I don't know what you mean. Are these contraband cell phones or are they? They're
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. Time to heal, the pain makes it real. I don't just lost the feel. I need time to heal, I can't steer the wheel, cause this driving feels, and it gives me chills. A nice road it feels, I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold, cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold, cause I can't move on till I let go.
Legal.
Okay, they're legal.
There's only 4 that they provide to the prisoners to use and to circulate through during the day, so that each person gets an opportunity to make a phone call if they need to.
So he called, phone rings, you pick it up, and it's him.
Yes.
Take me through that moment.
Well, I was shocked, of course, and when I started listening to his voice, of course, I'd already watched the documentary, so I knew what his voice sounded like on the documentary. And when he started talking, it was the same, and I felt like it was like an instant, I felt instantly like we'd known each other forever. Mm-hmm. And that obviously stems from the fact that I had the opportunity to watch the 9-part series. Mm-hmm. And he had not heard my voice before, so he didn't connect with me that way. Yeah. But I felt an instant connection because I felt like I kind of already knew him.
Right. Did he tell you he loved you on that phone call?
Yes, he did.
Right away?
At the end of the call. But again, I think that might be customary for him and his family to say that at the end of each call and at the end of each visit with each family member. So I took it that way at first. But the more we wrote and talked, the more he told me that he truly did love me.
Right. And you, once he called you the first time, did he start calling you more frequently, more often?
Yes. The phone calls are actually pretty expensive, so I wanted to keep them limited to just 2 times a week.
Oh, okay.
At first. So we talked a couple of times a week.
Okay. And how long was he able to talk? And what did you talk about?
Yeah, 30-minute increments. They've got 30 minutes to talk.
Oh, okay.
If they get lucky, they can call right back for another 30 minutes of talk. And what we would talk about would be, mostly he wanted to try to get to know me because I had already had the opportunity to learn about his life through the documentary.
Yeah. So when he first called, you start talking to him, he's asking questions about you. Did this freak you out some? I mean, were you comfortable with it?
I was. Yeah. Because, like I said, I was going through that divorce. I was alone. My husband was gone. Or, sorry, my ex-husband now.
Right.
Let's make that perfectly clear.
No, I got it. I got it.
And so I felt needed at that time, and I felt like he was a support to me, and I was glad to receive his calls.
So at what point did Stephen ask you to marry him, and what did he say?
I think that my life has prepared me for this moment.
Have you picked a ring?
I have.
Have you picked a dress?
I did pick a dress, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but...
And later, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and thought, What the hell are you doing?
Yes.
What was it that was making you nervous?
I got this letter early on. I am looking for a good woman so I could be happy. My love for you is the truth. I always get hurt all the time, and I always feel bad all the time. I want to be happy with you. Your husband, Stephen Avery. Back in May, he's already signing it. Your husband, Stephen Avery. That's how much he wanted me to become his wife.
So at what point did Stephen ask you to marry him, and what did he say?
After a couple of months of writing, he started referring to me as his wife.
Oh, before he asked you to marry him?
Yes. And he would sign his letters, love, your husband, Stephen Avery. I think that his motivation for doing that was to try to help mend my heart, because he knew the emotions that I was going through.
So you had a broken heart at that point, and he sensed that.
Absolutely. And he wanted to.
You were damaged. He was trying to heal.
Yes,
you.
And he did. He saved my life.
Yeah. And so you were pretty low at that point. This is a low point?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And what did he do that mended your heart? What did he do that saved your life?
He said things that made me feel needed and wanted. And that I was human, that I wasn't disposable, and that he needed me, and that gave me a new lease on life. It gave me a new direction. He needed me, and I wanted to provide that support to him, because I felt so bad about his situation and how he had been wrongfully convicted, not once, but twice now.
Right. And when he's in such a dire strait, yet he's administering to you.
Yes.
He's helping you and taking care of you.
Right.
That's kind of a Cinderella situation. I mean, he's actually rescuing you, saving you in a situation.
That's what I fell in love with about him right off the bat, that he could be in this predicament, but be so selfless and offer that support to me without asking for it in return.
Okay, so he started referring to you as Mrs. Avery.
Yes.
But did he ever actually say, and if so, when did he say, will you marry me?
It was in May of this year, so 4 months after we started corresponding, he started asking me questions about what I was looking for in a man, and told me what he was looking for in a woman, what he would like. And honesty was the most important thing for him, of course, because of all of this corrupt dishonesty that he has lived with for 30 years.
And what did you say when he finally asked you? Did you say yes right away, or did you think about it?
I felt like yes. I think that my life has prepared me for this moment and this journey that I'm about to go on. So my answer was yes.
And that was on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Have you picked a dress?
I did pick a dress.
Look, I've got 300 women on my staff. They tell me what girls want to know about this stuff. You picked a dress? Have you picked a ring?
I have. And I had an absolute amazing surprise of the same dress that I had picked out. Oh my God. I was elated. I was so surprised it was the same one.
All right, well, let's take a break. Next, what was it like the first time Lynn laid eyes on her now fiancé, Stephen Avery? Because so far, she's watched him in a documentary. She's then written letters back and forth. She's then talked to him on the phone. But a meeting still is in her future. We'll talk about what happened when that went down when we come back. He's had a lot of attention since he's been behind bars.
Yes.
And he's talked to different women.
And I thought, maybe this isn't the right thing I should be doing. So I did put a block on the phone.
And later, how has your family responded to this? Well, Stephen Avery has been in prison for 11 years for the 2005 murder of 25-year-old Wisconsin photographer Teresa Halbach. But he's found love behind bars more than once. Now, when I say more than once, he's had a lot of attention since he's been behind bars.
Yes.
And we heard earlier that he was getting like 40 letters a week from people he's talked to, different...
A day, actually.
A day, and he's talked to different women.
Yeah.
But this is something that the two of you now are very serious, correct?
Yes, it's exclusive.
And Stephen has written to you. We have a copy of an excerpt of a letter that he has written. He says, "Hi, Lynn. I see you put another block on the phone, so you don't love me. You have to tell the truth. I tell you the truth all the time. Don't you know that this hurt me when you block the phone when a person love you and miss you? I really thought you loved me and want to marry me. I'm looking for a good woman so I can be happy with and have a good time in my life no more. I do not want to suffer no more in my time. I did suffer a lot in my lifetime, and I only want a good woman in my life and one how love me back and will do anything for me and make me happy in my life. You know I love you a lot and I need you too, okay? I do not want to hurt no more in my life. I love you. My love for you is the truth. I always get hurt all the time, and I always feel bad all the time. I want to be happy with you. I do. Can you make me happy, Lynn? I love you if you want me. Love, your husband." Okay. Now, tell me about that letter. That was in May of this year.
Yes, he thought that I had blocked the phone because there was a time when I thought, maybe this isn't the right thing I should be doing. And things are going too fast, so I did put a block on the phone. But in this particular letter, there wasn't a block on the phone. I just hadn't received his call.
You say there wasn't a block on the phone.
There was not.
You just didn't receive a call.
I was out gardening and did not hear the phone that day, but it made him afraid that possibly I did decide I can't do this and put a block on the phone again.
What was it that was making you nervous?
Ridicule from my family. The fear of what my ex-husband might think of me because he's actually a 30-year veteran of law enforcement. Retired law enforcement. So I guess it was just how other people would look at me, and it was just a completely different scenario for me than anything I'd ever gone through in my life.
How has your family responded to this? You spent 30 years with a cop, now you're with a criminal?
Yes. I believe he's innocent. I believe he needs help.
There are a lot of people that want to help him that don't want to marry him. And later, when you meet somebody, you either have chemistry or you don't.
Well, it was different, very different.
Right?
Completely different.
Describe the first time you met him.
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Grandma refuses to let him near his own daughter.
All we want is a chance to know this little girl.
I just want to see my daughter.
Your daughter doesn't want to see you.
That's Wednesday.
How has your family responded to this?
I have a cousin who's one of my best friends, and we talk, but we do not talk about this. I received a phone call from Stephen while I was at my brother's house, and he wanted me to leave the house to take the call. He does not want anything to do with it. And my mom is worried about it as well. She says, why can't you just find a nice government man, get married, and have a great life? And I said, I had a government man, and look what happened. So I'm not saying that running out to look for a convicted murderer at a prison is the best thing to do, but I don't believe he's guilty.
Right.
I believe he's innocent.
So your mother, brother, cousin are all saying, what are you doing?
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Yep.
So have they watched this documentary?
No.
So they've not watched it?
No.
They just know that he's a convicted murderer?
They know that my ex-husband was a police officer, and now I'm seeing a convicted murderer in a prison.
So they think the pendulum has swung?
Yes.
They think you've gone completely the other way. You think, okay, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to go to the other side.
Yeah, maybe I had an aneurysm
I've been
or something.
with the cop. I'm going to go with the criminal.
Yeah, I'll teach him.
Okay, bad boys, bad boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What you going to do when they come for you?
Right. Right. Yes.
So they think, what the hell's happened to you? If
Yes.
you had an aneurysm, are you insane?
Yes. And I said,
Are you?
No.
I mean, have you thought, am I insane?
No, not at all.
Well, because you said you've been nervous about this sometimes. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night looking at the ceiling and thought, what the hell are you doing?
Yes.
You spent 30 years with a cop, now you're with a criminal?
Yes.
How do you answer
I had
that?
the mind on this side and the heart on this side, and it was a battle. It was a battle for a while. But I believe he's innocent. I believe he needs help from everybody in every way that they can help, because this man does not belong in prison.
There are a lot of people that want to help him that don't want to marry him. That's my point. Is this, and I'm forgetting about him for a minute and just talking about you, because you seem like a really nice person.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, this is just the shrink in me thinking about this, is this potentially a rebound phenomena for you? Because you said I was really lonely, I was really heartbroken, and here's somebody that's really vulnerable and has a broken wing.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering, is this a person that personality-wise, physically, intellectually, that you would normally be attracted to? I mean, if you were standing at the Dairy Queen in line and this guy was standing next to you, is this the kind of guy that you would go, hey, can I buy you a cone?
No. Not if I didn't know him. But after getting to know him, it's a different story.
Educationally, you're on very different levels.
Yes.
Huge gap there. I mean, you're highly educated, highly articulate. I read his letter, and he's not articulate. He's
not educated. He did not graduate high school.
Right. Doesn't mean he's not smart,
but on the telephone, he sounds very articulate.
Yeah. The fact that he's not educated doesn't mean he's not intelligent.
Right.
But he certainly, he doesn't write particularly well.
No.
So there's a huge gap there. You work with words.
Right.
He struggles with words.
Yes.
You come from education and achievement, and he worked in a junkyard.
Right.
With his hands in his back. I'm not saying that good, hard work. I've done that kind of work. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's different. It's two different worlds.
Yeah.
Not saying one's better or worse than the other, but it's two different worlds. Do you fear compatibility differences?
Once he is released, you mean?
Yes.
I haven't gotten there yet, but that could be a possibility.
But you would manage those, you think?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Lynn says she only met her convicted killer fiance, Stephen Avery, 3 weeks ago, but when she did, they had tons of chemistry.
Also coming up, why some people think Lynn is in this only for the fame.
I've been scrutinized, I've been attacked, I've been cyberbullied. What is the story on her? Something just doesn't add up. Supporters, they're wondering, who is this girl? Who's this bimbo? Who's this gold digger?
If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil Show, call 323-461-PHIL or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Lynn says now that she is the woman in Stephen's life. His ex is out to get her. Take a look.
Since I have been with Stephen and the public has come to know about it, I've been scrutinized, I've been attacked, I've been questioned. I've had my background check done and circulated throughout all of Facebook and all of Twitter. Many of them started cyberbullying me. I was and am worried that she may be up to no good when it comes to Stephen Avery. What is the story on her? Something just doesn't add up about her. A lot of the bullying, I believe, was the result of supporters that knew of Sandra Greenman, who was in the last episode of Making a Murderer, and she was introduced as Stephen Avery's girlfriend. So when I came into the picture, they're wondering, who is this girl? Who's this bimbo? Who's this gold digger? Everybody knows that Sandra Greenman is Stephen Avery's girlfriend. The supporters that supported Sandra Greenman came after me with a vengeance. They wanted to turn his family against me. They wanted to turn the other supporters against me. I have a confession to make. I may have contacted someone's ex to find out about her history and intentions. They were launching attacks on social media. They were sending me private messages. They were making posts on the support group sites about how I was a fake, that I was still married, that I am only after Stephen for fame and money, that I'm not really his girlfriend, I'm not really seeing him, that I'm actually, they thought I may even be writing letters to myself. I truly love Stephen with all my heart, and I know without a doubt that he feels the same way about me.
Okay, so you think that she's behind all of this?
Not all of it, but a lot of it.
You think she's active in it?
Absolutely.
Okay, but,
yes.
But you think it's coming from a lot of different places?
Yes.
How has this affected you? I mean, do you read these things?
I try to limit reading these things because it's very disturbing for me. So when I see them saying these things about me, it hurts deeply.
Mm-hmm. You said at one point it was almost more than you could take.
Many times it's been almost more than I can take. I would delete everything on my Twitter and my Facebook and block everybody and walk away for a couple of days.
Did it get to the point where you thought about stopping the relationship and just moving on?
Yes. On a couple of different occasions, and each time I did, I was miserable. And a couple of days later, he would call, and I would be just so glad that he was understanding and called me back.
You said when you were visiting him not long ago, you were almost run off the road.
Yes.
What happened? Tell me about that.
After the first visit, I noticed I was out on a rural road headed towards the highway, and I didn't know the area. It was my first time in Wisconsin. And all of a sudden, I saw this vehicle coming up fast, very close to my bumper, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm probably going to be pulled over. I had to literally dart off onto this gravel shoulder, almost spinning my car out of control. And the vehicle behind me, come to find out, was not a police car. So I stayed in my car and I resumed driving, and they came after me again. When I finally got to an area where there was a lit parking lot with a gas station, I pulled into that area, and they turned to the left and waited for me on the other side of the road. As soon as I saw them getting ready to flip a U to come back around, I got onto the highway and got back to my hotel.
Did you call the police?
No, I didn't, because I didn't get a license plate number.
Okay. Can I make 2 comments about that?
Yes.
Don't pull off on a side road, and do call the police.
I thought it was the police officer at first.
But when you know it isn't, call 911 immediately. I just want to keep you safe. All right, we've got to take a break here. Coming up, should Lynn be concerned about Stephen Avery's violent past? She'll react to shocking claims made by his ex-fiancée next. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Well, we have run out of time, but do not miss tomorrow, because Stephen Avery calls in from prison to talk about falling in love with his new bride-to-be.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. More with Stephen Avery's fiancée.
I'm agitated because I haven't heard from Stephen. I can't do this anymore.
But then a surprise phone call.
Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Oh, my God.
From the convicted killer himself.
Why do you want to marry Lynn?
I'm in love with her. Everything is different for her.
I want to give you the opportunity to answer this question. Did you murder Teresa Halbach?
That's tomorrow.
You will not believe what he has to say about the infamous murder case he is at the center of. All of that and more tomorrow. Thank you. We'll see you then.